Hi guys, welcome to this mini project. In this project we are going to be building an exchange rate calculator using HTML5, CSS3, and JavaScript. So here is the demo of what we are going to build. We are going to use Fetch API to make a HTTP request to third-party API to get data in JSON. So, let's start with HTML and then we will do the CSS. After that we will write JavaScript to fetch the data from API. Please sign up for the exchange rate API. It will give you a link which will be used in JavaScript code. You can find its link in the video description. Here, I have 3 files in the project: index.html, script.js, and style.css. I have linked my style sheet and JS file. Now, let's write HTML markup for our app. Also the font awesome link is in the description, but it is not necessary, and there is also image folder in the project where I have project logo, but you can use your own logo. Now, I will add 2 divs with container and currency classes. Inside the currency div I will add select drop-down and input field of number type. Make sure that you add IDs in the input elements. We will use these IDs in JS code. Now, copy and paste the currency div and change the IDs. You can set your own selected currency by default. I will set US dollar and euro. Now, I will add a div with swap rate container class. It will contain a swap button and a div for exchange rate data. Make sure the button has a class of BT and an ID of swap. The ID will be used in JS code. Now, I will add a div with ID of rate and class same as ID. This div will hold data coming from API. Make sure that you have the correct IDs in each element. As you can see, I just corrected my mistake. Let's add a heading and paragraph to make it look more professional. This is what it looks like. Now, let's add some styling into our app with CSS code. Now, I will add a variable of primary color. This will be used in various places, so a variable is good to have. Now, I will set the box sizing to border box of every element, and set the font family. For body, let's set the background to very light gray and use the flex box with flex direction to column. Set items to center, both horizontally and vertically. Set height to 100 viewport or VH, and margin to 0 and padding to 20 pixels every side. It has started to look good. Let's add more CSS code. Set the H1 heading color to primary color, and align it to center. Set paragraph text to align to center. Let's style the button. It is a simple one. But make sure it has background and border color of primary color from the variable we set, and set the cursor to pointer. Now, resize the logo so that it looks good and fits perfectly into our app. Now let's style our currency div, set display to flex, and align items to center, set justify content to space between, the value space between displays equals spacing between flex items. Now let's style our select drop-down list. I will remove its default appearance, and use an SVG icon, which will be set as background. You can find the SVG code inside video description. Set the background to transparent, and set background image to the SVG icon. In the end, let's set the position, so it appears perfectly inside select drop-down. Now, let's style the number input element. Nothing special, it is simple. Now, I will set the swap rate container to display as flex, and align items to center, and justify content to space between. Now, set the rate div styling, so the data coming from API gets shown professionally. Now, I will set the focus outline of select drop-down list, input number element and button to 0, so we don't get the ugly outline when we select or click an element. Now, I will add a media query, so the input number element is resized down to 200 pixels, if it gets open into a mobile device it will fit perfectly. Please scroll up, and fix the error in body styling. I made a mistake, it is justify content not justify items. Now our app is centered perfectly. It is finally time to add JavaScript code, to get the data from Exchange Rate API. Now, let's get the first currency dropdown and number input by ID. We will do the same for other currency dropdown and number input field. Now, let's grab the rate div and swap button. If you have any questions please ask in the comment section. Now, add the calculate function and call it, just do it for future. Now, let's add event listeners so when a user selects any currency or add a number, our app will fetch the results according to the input. We will set the change event for drop-down and input event for number field. In every event listener we will call calculate function to get the data from API. Now, let's work on the calculate function to get our app working. Now, make two variables and store the values of selected currencies, so we can get rates from API. Now, I will use the fetch API to get the data from third party. When you sign up for Exchange Rate API, you will get the API link looking like the one I am using in the fetch function. Now I will erase the default currency in the link, and I will put our variable inside it using template literals with backticks, so that way it will get a dynamic value whenever we select new currency. It will get new value through change event. Now, use the .then function and get the response back, turn it into JSON so we can work with data easily. Now, use the .then function again and get the data, and open up curly braces, to work with the coming data and output it in our app. I will get the data using data.conversion_rates and use the second currency index to get the other currency rate. Let's output the data in our rate div like so. Now, let's set the amount to value by multiplying the first value by the coming rate so it will give us the correct value of the exchange rate. Let's check out our app. It is working like it should. Now, let's work on the swap button so we can swap out the values quickly. I will use the click event and open the arrow function and then just simply swap out values using variables. In the end I will call calculate function again to show the new results. That is it. Thanks for watching. If you learned something from the video, please like and subscribe so I can bring more content for you.